Well, hello again and welcome back to the channel. I'm Charles Nathan, your friendly guide helping you to navigate the shadowy swamp that is the modern British state. Now, anyone who's been a regular to this fairly new channel recently will see that we've got some improved visuals, there's a better background, the lighting's better, and a great improvement on sound. So thank you to everyone who's given me their feedback on those issues, and we're going to make this channel better together. Now, there's been very little going on in the corridors of the committee rooms of the House of Commons, or the House of Lords for that matter. So instead, we're going to take a look at something that did hit the newspapers a few days ago, but it's worth talking about in a little more depth. And that's the recent white paper published by the Home Office on the future of policing. Now, as usual, down below you'll find a link to the whole document if you want to download it and read it for yourself, but here it is now. As is often the case with these government white papers, you'll find some old family favourites stuffed in there for good measure. Some of these are putting more officers on the beat. How often have we heard that? Efficiency savings. How often have we heard that? Something that is different is the proposed establishment of a new national policing service. The idea is that this new NPS will deal with things like terrorism and organised crime, as well as providing support like forensics and IT services to a reduced number of regional police forces. Whether that ever gets any traction or not, we'll see in the future. Something else that did come up in the white paper as well that is of interest to many folk is to, quote, modernise legislation to ensure that the police are clearer about where the line stands between freedom of speech and criminality. On a cursory reading, that sounds marvellous, as the entire nation is fed up with the police suddenly having massive amounts of resources to bring to bear when someone sends a mean tweet about a bloke in a dress. But suddenly there's no one around when you've been burgled and a lot of the stuff you've worked really hard for has either been damaged or gone missing. But hold on a minute, let's not get carried away here. There's nothing in that statement to suggest that changes to legislation will move the boundary between free expression and criminality in the way that most people believe it should be moved. Indeed, when you take into account the current ongoing discussions about an official definition of Islamophobia, or what's been rebranded now as anti-Muslim hatred, we have to be very careful and keep an eye on this particular situation, because there's only one reason that you would adopt an official definition of something like that, so it can be later codified into law, both criminal and civil. So we'll have to be very careful about that, and let's not start waving the free speech flags just yet. And there's also something, in my opinion, which is even worse in this white paper, and we're going to get into that now. The white paper says that the government will be introducing a new National Centre for AI in policing and investing £115 million over the next 3 years. I, for one, can honestly say I'm frightened by this idea. Is that an overreaction? Well, let's see. A massive government rollout of IT tools being given to an organisation, the police, which has enormous coercive powers over all of our lives. What could possibly go wrong? Bearing in mind that every major IT project put together by the government has been such a roaring success in the past. We need only look at the Post Office Horizon scheme, where people were sent to prison and in some cases lost their lives, to see how well this could possibly work out. And bear in mind, this Horizon scheme was long before AI came onto the scene. I mean, let's just suppose, for example, this actually happens and police AI gets up and running. What's going to happen when AI inevitably makes a mistake? Will anyone be held accountable for something that the system did? Especially when something goes wrong and people inevitably get hurt. Has anyone even considered the legal and ethical, not to mention the practical issues arising from this? And by the way, while we're at it, £115 million is a drop in the ocean when setting up a national service like this. I could just see this as a financial and administrative disaster in the making. That's it for today, anyway. Sorry to end on such a down note, but you've got to call it as you see it. In the end, we can take some solace from the fact that this is a white paper, which, to all intents and purposes, boils down to exactly that, a statement of intent. Will any of this stuff ever really happen? Or will the establishment blob suffocate it in endless meetings and hearings and lead it astray in forests of legislation, only for it to be scrapped entirely when there's a change of government? I don't know, but we'll keep an eye on it and see how things develop as time goes on. That's it for today, and don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video, comment, do all those cool things. It really does help a small channel like this to grow and get the word out to more people, and I hope it's been informative, because remember, our ignorance is their power. That's it for the Nathan State today, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye.